Ladies and gentlemen, episode 10.
10.
We did it, Vin.
10 in a row.
They told us it couldn't be done. It couldn't be done.
Feels like yesterday we were doing our first official one.
It's it does feel just like that. I'm gonna you know what I'm gonna do here? I think I'm gonna crack a beer to celebrate.
Oh, lucky you. I actually don't have a beer for once.
I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to be that guy, but I'm gonna have to. All right, well then.
Enjoy that brew.
Well, cheers to you and to us.
What are we drinking tonight, sir?
This is a Joseph's Brow summer brew. I believe Mick left this here when his power went out and his fridge was going to die. And I believe it was a gift to him.
Well, God bless him.
This is a well-traveled beer, and thank you to whoever gave it to Mick, and thank you to Mick, my brother, for those of you who don't know him. Cheers to Tuned Up and Tuned In with Vin and Phil. Here we go.
Wow. Perfect form.
That's good. All right. Well, like I said, we're here with episode 10. I'm ready to dive in, man. But I guess, as usual, we'll hit our quick talking points and then we'll dive on in.
Yep.
So first and foremost, we have a Spotify playlist. I think this week may be the week that I change the name, Vin. But to be safe, I'm going to leave them both active if possible. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So search Vin and Phil Show. And if you don't find it that way, then search Tuned Up and Tuned In.
Cool.
And I believe that'll help find it. And that'll be on Spotify. And that playlist will be up to date with all of the songs we've talked about in every episode up until this point, and then all of the songs that we will talk about in this episode as well.
Yeah, I've been listening to it for like 2 weeks, going on 2 weeks now for my walks. It's loving it on. Just put that baby on shuffle and let it ride.
Yeah, no, it's got some amazing stuff, and now it's so diverse now too because we've been all over the place with what we've been talking about. Yeah. So really, it's an enjoyable playlist for those of you that are listening. Check it out, and then like I said, it's always cool then to be able to stop back in through all of our different talks, and you'll be more familiar with our songs. Not our songs, I'm sorry, the songs that we've talked about, and I think, like I said, you'll really get to the full value and experience of the Tuned Up and Tuned In show.
Yes.
Next on the list is that Vin and I are both working musicians, and obviously things have been tough with COVID, and so we've had to change kind of how we do things. And one of the ways that we've been keeping ourselves afloat is by doing stuff like this. And no pressure to anybody out there, but if you're feeling generous and feel like you have a little extra love that you could throw our way, we both have Venmo accounts, and it would really be greatly appreciated if you could send some love our way. Vin's Venmo account, I'm going to get it right, is at Vincent-Mott, M-O-T-T, that's 2 T's. And my Venmo, sweet. And mine is at Phil-Silverberg, silver like the metal, B-E-R-G. Like I said, if you're feeling generous. Moving on, I guess we also are both working musicians, like I said, and we actually put out music all the time. And if there's not something currently out, there's something we're working on, that's for sure. I have a song that came out a few weeks ago now called Oolong under my artist name Lo-Fi, spelled L-O-P-H-I. And I am going to be releasing a new song. I haven't set the date just yet, but I believe it'll be within the next month or so. And I also don't have a title for it just yet, but I do believe the track I'm going to release is going to be with our man Mark Dollar featured on there. Mark played some stuff, and then I kind of like sampled him chopped him up and put him into my track. And he always has something extra and beautiful that you can't get anywhere else but with him. And Vin, I guess if you want to talk about some stuff you're working on.
I've been just slowly recording some stuff. I got a couple of tunes in the can, but I did release Country Blues in Quarantine just 2 months ago. A month ago?
Yeah.
A little over a month and a half ago.
Sounds about right.
You can check that out everywhere you can find music online. But please buy it if you want to support the arts directly.
That's the best. Take a look at Bandcamp. That's usually the most direct way and easiest way to be direct with Vin, unless you just hand him money, which is also accepted. Or don't hand it to him at this point because that's dangerous.
Put it in that Venmo.
There you
that
go.
Venmo, baby.
There you go. Now
it's
we're
been
talking.
extra tough this last week, so every little bit will help.
And that's our spiel. But now we're taking on a subject today, ladies and gentlemen, that for me, it's a little. I know it's going to sound crazy to you guys, but it's a little on the edge for me. Vin and I decided today that we wanted to talk about a very, very important figure in the music business. Some of you may not know this name, but his name is Robert Allen Zimmerman. Officially, he was nay Robert Allen Zimmerman, I suppose. And better known to most of you as Bob Dylan. Now, like I said, to me, it's not that it's such a foreign subject, and this is going to be one of the hardest things for me to admit on this show ever, I think. I don't know if I love Bob Dylan. I don't hate him. Let me be clear about that, because I think that there's a misconception whenever this comes up that I end up getting put on the defensive and having to defend why I don't like him. And because of that, I end up having to be in a place of sounding like I just don't like him. But it's not true. There are times where I definitely go listen to Bob Dylan.
Yeah. I would say I feel differently. I would say I love Bob Dylan. Now, there's not like every single deep cut am I so in love with. Certainly not. But I do have like a warm, nostalgic feeling when I listen to Bob Dylan for some reason. And so that's where I stand with it.
Well, like I said, I know that my point of view is rather contentious. I mean, my main thing is that it's just that is the singing, and it's just that simple in terms of listening to him from a pure musical enjoyment. I don't, the music is very simple. It's not that, and that's the nature of that music. So I'm not hating that. And there's other music that I like that's very simple also. So that's not really the problem. It's just that generally speaking, his singing is mediocre at best. And there are a few songs, I will say, where he sings, where he really does sing. And he doesn't sound bad. He's not amazing, but he doesn't sound bad. And then there are other songs where it's just like, but my feeling is that if I were to talk to Bob Dylan, he would probably say, if you're listening to my music and trying to listen for my voice, you're listening to the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree.
And that's fair. And that's the thing. I can accept that. So when I go to listen to Bob Dylan, it's usually a conscious choice that I'm looking to listen to a very specific song or a very specific sentiment, or it's a choice. It would be hard for me to generally sit and listen to a full album of Bob Dylan straight through. And also, to be fair, I am not the type of person to just listen to like a couple songs and to make a decision about whether or not I like an artist. I do my best to cover as much of the discography as I can. Now with his, it's just like way too vast.
It's huge, yeah. It's enormous.
So I couldn't honestly tell you I've gone through his entire discography. I have definitely picked through albums starting from his very first.
Yeah, I have favorite. I have definite favorite albums. That's for sure.
So I think that for me, then, these couple of episodes, this block of episodes, if you will, I feel I'm coming in open-minded to be educated, and I'm sure that I will find some gems of some songs through you and through some of our other guests that I am not familiar with, or am familiar with and just may not have seen the beauty in them the way that other people might. And I am glad to go down that road And I guess we can open the door for everybody else to where this is going is that ultimately we want to go some places not just Bob but Bob related, which maybe we'll leave it at that. But I think people can probably grasp what that's heading towards, and as far as other musicians and artists, and I'm sure their names will come up as we talk because it's natural,
right?
But
well, I don't know if I'm gonna convince you of having any more love for the Bob Dylan canon or not. But what I definitely am going to do is tell you some things that I really like about Bob Dylan and some specific songs. And with that, let's begin.
Please, I'm tuned up and tuned in. So
I'm tuned up myself. I just haven't had a beer today.
I got you. Ooh.
So I'm going to talk. So I got two tunes. So the first tune I'm going to talk about is the classic Bob Dylan tune called Stuck Inside of Mobile with Memphis Blues Again. And you know what I didn't know I've known it for most of my adult life, but I started listening to Bob Dylan when I was like in high school. And you know what I never figured out until like probably in college, probably from Alex Tierney, is I never knew it was stuck inside of Mobile, like the town, Mobile,
right.
Alabama.
Yeah.
I always thought it was stuck inside like of automobile. Is like how I thought the name was, but it is not, obviously. I don't know why. And like, it's like forever. That's like the first thought when I try to say the name out loud is like stuck inside of an automobile. I don't know why. It's really stupid. But anyway, Stuck Inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues Again. It's on Blonde, which was released in June of 1966. Let me just get my tabs right so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself.
Sure.
1966. Blonde on Blonde, June 1966. So this song and half of the tunes on this record were recorded at Columbia Studio B on Music Row in Nashville. And the other half was recorded in New York City at Columbia Studios there. What I like about one of the things that's just a running theme on this album is it's got Robbie Robertson from the band on guitar, and it also has Al Kooper on organ. Al Kooper played on a lot of Bob Dylan stuff too. I mean, as did Robbie, obviously. Sure. And it's produced by a guy named Bob Johnston. And this is one of my favorite tunes. This is a classic album. It brought us like Rainy Day Women, Pledging My Time, Visions of Johanna, Sooner or Later, One of Us Must Know. These are all really, really killer tunes. I suggest you listen to if you haven't heard them. Just Like a Woman. So many good songs on this one. I mean, there's like one or two that I would skip. Probably like one of the, in the latter half of the record. Like I said, I don't love every single tune Bob Dylan has. I don't like worship the ground he works on, but he is worthy of some worship. All right. So this, back to the tune, it was apparently the tune from the record is the 14th take out of 20 takes they did in the studio of this tune.
Sounds about right.
And basically what happened was like Bob basically had most of the lyrics solidified by the time they were putting it to tape. But he didn't have the arrangement right, or they couldn't, they basically just ran the gauntlet of like, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. And apparently it was, for 20 takes, the session went all night long.
Expensive tape too.
What's that?
Tape too, expensive,
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I forget. I didn't write down what. I guess he was probably on Columbia Records, right? He was recording at Columbia Studios.
Most likely.
I forget. I didn't write that down.
That would make sense. I can't imagine Columbia renting it out to somebody else unless it was paid. I can't imagine any of the big studios. If they had an artist, why would they be going into not their studios? You know?
Right. But they were spending a shitload of money on them. That's for sure.
Yeah, no question.
So they tried different musical arrangements until they hit that one. Probably did a couple more takes of it. And, well, I guess they would have done 6 more takes of it. So though most of the lyrics was written already, the lyrics were like compiled from both old previous lines that Bob had floating around in his notebooks or whatever. And also he did a lot of on the spot writing, which was like his MO when he recorded back in the 60s. He stumbled on the phrase "stuck inside of Mobile" when he somewhere during the recording session where he fucked it up on one of the takes and just kept saying it that way. So the original line
like
was
Bob Dylan.
yeah, right. So the original line was, "Oh mama, you're stuck here in Mobile, Alabama with the Memphis Blues again." Imagine if that's what the line was to this tune. Do you know this tune very well?
No, I don't.
Not really.
No.
Good. Well, you're gonna enjoy it when you hear it. But like when you hear it, if that was the line, it would have never been. I mean, I don't even think it really was a hit.
But it wouldn't. It would have been even less notable.
It wouldn't hit you like it does the way they put it out. The tune is in the key of E major, and there's really nothing to say about that, about the chords. The whole form of the tune is just verse after verse. I think there are 9 verses in a row.
Also sounds like Bob Dylan.
Yes. Yeah. This is typical Bob Dylan, typical mid-60s Bob Dylan. 9 verses, all no bridge, no solo. There's like an 8-bar intro, or maybe 4 bars of just the one chord. And there's like a fade out outro that's like over, it's 4 bars, just same deal with a harmonica on top of it. There's not really too much to say about it harmonically. It's just a lot of the one thing I like though is that it's got our favorite chord progression, the 1 to 6.
Okay.
You're right. The chorus, if you could call it the chorus, it's really the refrain. Is the 3 minor, right? It starts on the 3 minor. Mama, can this really be the end?
You sound just like them.
Yeah, right. It's just it's all 1 6 4 5, 1 6 4 5, 1 4 5 4, things like that. So there's not too much to really say there, but what makes the music really great in this tune is Robertson's kind of Steve Cropper-esque, improvised like fills that he does that like weave in and out. And obviously the song is called the Memphis Blues, right? So he kind of
hints at some blues stuff.
Hints at some Memphis style guitar playing for sure. And then Al Cooper, like I mentioned earlier, played organ on this, and he plays like so simple and he plays a lot of melodic lines counter to the vocal line, and just really simple single note stuff. Then he holds like a chord and he just holds it. You know what I mean? Where they hit that 3 chord, he just holds it down basically. It's really a beautiful sounding tune. I've always thought it's always been one of my favorites since high school. So where, like you said earlier, nobody's listening to Bob Dylan because they think he's such a fantastic singer. To me, it's always about the lyrics for him. And they're really the star in this tune. Makes no surprise. To me, if I was I tried to like sum up what the tune is about, and you probably already know, and if you don't, you'll figure that out from reading his lyrics, where like it's hard to tell what he's talking about because it's a lot of randomness thrown, like it's a lot of like random words and images that they go together, obviously, but like it's tough to figure out what he means through his metaphors are like really thick, you know, they're like really, really thick metaphors. But to me, what I came up with was the song is about him, or a fictional character of him, or some fictional first person, sitting at a bus station in Mobile, Alabama, on his way to Memphis, or possibly coming from Memphis, describing the people around him that he's seeing while he sits at this bus station, and his experiences and adventures he had just had during his stay in Memphis or Mobile, whichever way he's going.
Yeah.
Each verse tends to focus on one or two characters. And it caps off, obviously, with a refrain, to be stuck inside of Mobile with Memphis Blues again. So verse 1, there's 9 verses. I'm going to go through them really quick. Like I said, each verse has like a character, you know, or 2 characters. So really that's all I'm gonna tell you about. I want you to go onto the Spotify playlist and check this tune out. But in verse 1, you got the ragman and the ladies who treat me so kindly. Verse 2, you got Shakespeare, who is maybe a crazy person in the alleyway next to him. And the Shakespeare is talking to some French girl who knows me well. Verse 3, the characters are Mona, and Mona talks about the railroad men. And this verse has my favorite line in the whole tune. The line is, he just smoked my eyelids and punched my cigarette. I think is a cool line. He just smoked my eyelids. So he's talking about Mona is telling him how railroad people, maybe hobos or people who work for the railroad, are rough type of people. You know, they'll knock you out basically, and that's what he says back to her. He just smoked my eyelid and punched my cigarette. Verse 4, he talks about grandpa. I don't know. I couldn't find the history, but grandpa could, I don't know if it means maybe his grandpa had just passed away. I don't know, but talks about grandpa died last week. Verse 5, it's the senator. And the senator is handing out free tickets to the wedding of his son. Verse 6 is the preacher, who I think is the preacher from the son's wedding. Verse 7 is the Rain Man. Verse 8 is Ruthie, who I think is either a mistress or a hooker. And Ruthie says, and she says, your debutante knows what you need, but I know what you want. And then the last verse actually doesn't really have a character except for himself. It's more of like an existential point of view. And that's the synopsis of the song. Really, Bob Dylan tunes are meant to be sat and listened to. You know, if you really want to hear what he's talking about and the lyrics and how the lyrics go with the music, or sometimes don't go with the music. Yeah, you know, his music to me always needs to be like sat with headphones on, like, you know, maybe reading the lyrics along. I feel like is the way I've always enjoyed.
Well, so that's the thing with him in general, and that goes back to, again, what I was saying before about, you know, like if he was here, he would say you're listening to the wrong thing if you're listening for his voice. Is that, you know, now the guy's in the Library of Congress, he's celebrated as for his literature, right? And we've talked about this before too, because obviously Bruce early in his career was emulating his best version of Dylan, and I call it the troubadour thing. You know what I mean? It's really just a poetry that he sets to the chords, and sometimes, like you said, it has the chords make no sense, or not no sense, but make little sense, or have little to do with what he's saying. It's just and it's proven by how if you have now seen him in recent years, which I have, which partially is why
I have too. Well, not in recent years, but definitely in my lifetime I've seen.
And to be fair, that's partially part of what my distaste for him is seeing him. It was good. I'm glad I can say I saw him, but you can tell how disgusted he is. Like the songs, you're 3/4 of the way through a song before you realize what song you're listening to, because he's just doing it a totally different way.
He's kind of the type of guy too. It feels like that, like hates all the good shit he does. You know, all the good he hates, like his product.
Yeah, and I get it. I get it, but it's like, come on, dude. It's been like 60 years.
like these are such classic. Like, come on. How are you going to do Rolling Stone and not sing it like Rolling Stone?
Yeah. So like I think that's part. But back to my original point. Like I said, he's celebrated for his literary, like as a writer.
These songs, I mean, this one especially, and most of his stuff are poems put to music, or even if they're written to the music, it's, you know, it's definitely his view is more poetic, you know, or his voice is more poetic, you know, his writer's voice.
Now, for me, it's interesting. Like I said, when I did try my best to do some studying and really listening, I went back to the very beginning and listened to his early stuff. And I do know some of my history. I should get refreshed, to be honest. But obviously, the guy pretty much lived with the Guthries, right? Not pretty much. I think he actually did for some period of time, like lived with Arlo, and obviously he was emulating his best version of that early on. Yep. And you hear that, and you can hear the growth in him, and it's interesting to hear all that happen, because you can hear, not that there wasn't anything there early on, there definitely was, but you can hear there's like this Appalachian thing, like it's a different kind of folk. It's folk, all of it is folk, but again, going to the chord changes, it's definitely, it's all simple chord changes, but they go through things fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll pass through 3 chords real quick, and the melody will go with it. So like there's that early on. There's also a lot of him clearly loved the blues, right?
Yeah.
You know, like
absolutely.
Covers of straight up blues songs on that first album. I think it's the first album entirely covers. I forget.
I don't remember.
Highway 51. Maybe not entirely, but there's a couple on there that are just straight up covers. But yeah, you know, so to hear him grow, and then obviously the far later when you start listening to the Electric Bob, it's a totally different thing, of course. We'll talk about that in depth, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you know, it's I guess I've revisited him, for no pun intended, because of playing with Mike Montre, who may join us on an episode to talk about Bob for this reason. I'm going to see if we can get him on here. And it's, for me, well, first of all, I guess this is borderline. I didn't mean to segue, but I'm essentially segueing into my way. Were you all set? I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's pretty much it. I had just one quick little thing is...
No, go ahead.
That I noticed for the first time today about Stuck Inside of Mobile is... There's 2 lines where you could tell that like he had just finished writing that line or like that, you know, obviously that day, like I said, that's how he did it. And there's like one line where he says, he goes, yeah, when he built a fire on Main Street, you know, he like trips over his words, and he goes, now the temperature died, looked so baffled. You know, it's like, I just noticed those 2 lines today for the first time. I thought it was funny.
Well, like I said, that's and for the live, when I saw him live, that's kind of how you feel. Like he's just kind of putting the words anywhere. Like that's why, you know, to him it's just about the lyrics. Literally nothing else matters. You could tell that like either he thought
he had a handle on the words. You know, it's when like singers will know what I'm talking about when you're trying to like I do it all the time at work, when you're trying to read the lyrics for the first time, and even though you know the tune, but like you're like it like you
Right,
get
how
tripped
does-
up on a word, you know?
Yeah, exactly. How does that accent happen? And like, you know, here's the amount of time you have, and you end up being like, oh crap, and I got to squeeze the back half
Like,
of this word in now.
Now
you
the
know?
preacher looked so baffled. Like you could tell he was about to say, now the teacher looked so baffled.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
yeah, he caught himself. Yeah.
I just never noticed that. I've been listening to this tune for 20 years.
So
that's it for me. So yeah, let's segue.
Well, like I said, from you know, the constant thing is just to remember I'm trying to get educated here, you know. So, like I said, Monterey. That's where I was saying was not the first time, but it was the second or third time that I had come back to Bob. My older brother, actually, who I don't mention too often, my older brother is a novelist and writer, and at one period, and but at the same time, and I guess I have talked about him before because we've talked about how he listens to lyrics and I listen to music. And I think he was the first person who posed that to me because he said that he doesn't necessarily love jazz because it doesn't include too much vocals. Typically, there's obviously vocal jazz, but generally speaking, not too much vocal. And I can understand that. I can understand that, especially, you know, but at the same time, guy that you would not think loves hip hop, like well versed in somebody like a Biggie or an Eminem because of the incredible writing. Right. And so I'm only saying all that because he was the one, he went through a period of just listening to really, really deep folk and early blues and, you know, the Charlie Patton and, you know, like all that stuff. He's the one who showed me all that stuff. And so he's definitely one of the reasons I started to look at Bob. That and being, I knew that Bruce and Bob obviously go hand in hand. I had to go try at least to see why.
Right.
But so I guess the song I'm going to talk about is a song that got me to go back and listen because we play it with Monterey. Is Tonight I'm going to be staying here with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a super famous one, but definitely it's kind of like the one you're talking about. People, if you know Bob below the surface of the like most famous ones, you probably know this song.
Right. That's where Stuck Inside is. You know,
Yeah. It's not a deep cut, but not maybe it's a B-side. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hit with like people who like Bob Dylan.
And
you know?
yeah, and I love that song. And that I can really say that. I think here, let's see. You know, I was doing some reading up on it. This was off the Nashville Skyline. That's not the same album that you were just talking about, right?
No, I was talking about Blonde on Blonde.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. So Nashville Skyline. It was on, I guess. So the song was the third single released from the album. The first two were I Threw It All Away and Lay Lady Lay. And basically when he arrived in Nashville for the recording of the album, he had 4 songs written. And Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You was written over 2 days of staying at the hotel during the sessions. So it was penned fairly quickly, obviously. I mean, no surprise. It's typical of Bob. I guess they were saying it was an interesting turning point in terms of his writing, because most of his love songs were usually a skeptical love. I guess is the best way to say it is, you know, like he was always looking for like a perfect fit, the perfect love.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you say what year this album came out?
This is no.
I know it's like what
69.
gotta be what, like,
yeah, 69.
Oh, 69. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's the single by Bob Dylan. That's the single. It was the B-side on Country Pie, or the B-side was Country Pie. I'm sorry. So that at least the single came out then. Yeah.
So God, this is gonna segue so nice to my next one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going
It
to be able
really
to go.
it is.
I'm
Couldn't
not
have
going to
planned this any better, Phil.
I'm not going to be able to go too deep with it. I mean, I'm able to talk about it musically because I've had a chance to play it. And I guess that's where I guess it would be cool to just talk about. You know, you got the pedal steel stuff. Definitely, the bridge section is out there. As far as a divergence from his earlier writing, this is a whole full-on instrumental section of a song. You know what I mean? So like it you know, it's not necessarily a full divergence, but where we were just talking about the focus is entirely the lyrics. Here's a song where we give a chance where like there's no lyrics for an entire section of it, and he lets the pedal steel, like not just once but twice, I believe, have the limelight. It's kind of an interesting thing to think about. But like I said, in terms of the lyrical thing, it was apparently a divergence just because, like I said, that he had this idea of the perfect love that he was kind of searching for, and really not just through his lyrics. You know, he was really actually. And this was the first time where he was kind of just accepting, you know, in this song tonight, I'm gonna be staying here with you, you know, and just kind of accepting this, you know. So you know, I like I said, I don't know. For me, why do I like this song so much? This one is particularly just because we play it, and I think it does strike me as a beautiful song. I don't know that I have much of a good answer, you know, besides that. I don't. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that I can't go too deep or don't want to go too deep. It's, you know, what happened is that as I started to go through, I just started to try and find which songs are songs that I'm familiar with and strong have some kind of actual opinion that's of value.
Sure.
This is one.
It's a beautiful song, man. You know, a lot of his songs to me are very like lush and beautiful. You know, like especially in you know this. Yeah, I think it starts with Blonde on Blonde and what's the one? In '66, he put out 2 records. It's
well, I mean, I don't know. Blood on the Tracks is the one that I'm most familiar with, but I don't know if that's the one you're talking about. That's Tangled Up in Blue.
Oh yeah. Oh, maybe I'm thinking about my next one actually. Actually, I am thinking about my next song, which is just the next year, 1970. Yeah, I think it's Blood. Is it Blood on the Blood on the Tracks? A New Morning? I forget. Should have done better homework.
So
anyway,
who are you talking to? I don't know. I'm doing my homework. Right, I'm doing my homework right now in class.
Like this era of Bob Dylan's music is like very beautiful to me. Like very
sure. No, this song absolutely
like romantic musically, you know,
100%.
In arrangement wise, I should say.
Sure, the pedal steel section is particularly a good example.
Yeah, exactly.
As I glance at the lyrics, there's, you know, they are really, it's cool stuff. You know, the first verse is throw my ticket out the window, throw my suitcase out there too, throw my troubles out the door. I don't need them anymore because I'm staying here with you. It's kind of cool because it kind of flips the picture on you, you know, like to me, I'm reading those first couple lines. I'm kind of just picturing either on a train, somebody just throwing stuff out the door of the train or out of an apartment window or something like, you know, I mean, you just kind of have that picture. And then it's quite the opposite. He's saying like, go ahead, throw all that stuff away. I don't need any of it. I'm stay here with you.
Right.
It's kind of a really nice way to say something, you know. I should have left this town this morning, but it was more than I could do. Oh, your love comes on so strong, and I've waited all day long for tonight when I'll be staying here with you. Is it really any wonder? Yeah, the B section here, beautiful, great. The chord changes here, very, very. It's one of these that I could sit down and play right now, and I can't think of a single chord right at this second, just in my fingers. And then is it really any wonder the love that a stranger might receive? You cast your spell, and I went under. I find it so difficult to leave. You know, it's not like we haven't heard stuff like this, but again, you know, and I can hear the whistle blowing. This line, I don't know why this is my favorite. I can hear that whistle blowing. I see that station master too. If there's a poor boy on the street, then let him have my seat, because tonight I'll be staying here with you. I think I just love that whole line right there.
Reminds me too of that. What is it called? that style. Is it a sonnet? A sonnet?
The sonnet's more like we said I think we said with Piano Man, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It like reminds me of like Piano Man's flow a little bit.
I guess you see it. Yeah, you're right. It's kind of because it's like, yeah, because the first line hangs by itself. It's an unclosed rhyme there, and then everything else rhymes. Not everything. Oh no, it's like interesting. It's like A, B, C, C, B.
Yeah. Interesting. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
He knew how to put some words together, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, like I said, he definitely does. He definitely did. The more I think about it, I really think that I'm tainted because of having seen him live. It was awesome.
I think you are too. I think you should give him another shot.
Oh no, I'm not going to see him live again. That's for sure.
No, don't do that. I've seen him, dude. You see, I saw him twice too.
I mean,
I was like, let me just go again just to make sure.
It didn't help that Willie Nelson was on after.
Like, I remember coming out of it saying like, oh, it was great. It was a good show. But like in my mind, I was like, did I really? Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on half the time. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
The band was good. The music they were playing was good. I just felt like I knew none of it.
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah, no, like I said, and on top of it, Willie Nelson was immediately following, not just like
he probably blew that out of the water.
He walked on stage. Hi, I'm Willie Nelson. Put up your whiskey, whiskey river on my mind.
Willie blew him out of the water. I bet. I don't know. Maybe maybe to us.
No, like you said, musician wise, like musically, Bob's show was great. But again, the guy didn't even acknowledge that there's an audience that exists out there. He didn't say, "Hi, I'm Bob Dylan."
Yeah, right. Yeah, same. When I saw the 2 times I saw him, he says not a word the whole show.
Yeah, so it's like everybody stands up for him when he comes out. It's like he's like a conductor or something. Yeah, like
and he only plays the organ.
He played piano.
Not even a real organ. It's like a.
He played piano at the show I was at. He played
like a grand piano.
He seemed to be really. It seemed like he was really playing. Yeah, I think so.
When I saw him, he just had like a fucking. It might as well have been a fucking Casio on a fucking stand. He just stood at and played like a keyboard.
No, he definitely was at a piano when I saw him.
Word.
So, I mean, that's as far as I'll really go because, like I said, with that particular one, I mean,
true.
I to be honest with you, let me real fast. I'll just list a couple of the other ones. I don't need to go deep. I won't go deep with any of them because I can't. And then it'll be all you, and you can take us home. So on the same album was "Lay Lady Lay."
That's a great.
It's an obvious
same thing, man. It's like a beautiful sounding tune.
Absolutely.
And the words are beautiful.
And down there, with his voice singing low down there, there's a quality to it that's kind of cool. I don't hate it in that. Yeah. It's like kind of the crooner-ish type. He almost has like a crooner thing on there, and I don't hate it. Again, I don't hate it. Is it the most amazing singing? No, I'll always say that. No, but that song is a beautiful song, and the singing is perfectly suited for what it is. That's it. If it was a better singer, I don't know that the song would be better to me. I guess that's the better way to put it. So that's another one. Blowing in the Wind. I only mentioned it again. Real obvious one. I mentioned it because we talked about Change Gonna Come. And if we didn't talk, we did way back. I don't even know if it was one of our official podcasts. It might have been early in the Instagram days.
Oh yeah. See, it may have been when we were still just doing Instagram. Yeah.
It's possible. But so with Change Gonna Come, that song, Sam Cooke was inspired to write that song in part by hearing Bob's Blowing in the Wind, and he was kind of, for lack of a better term, jealous of the fact that a white man had so succinctly put the feelings of what was going on, and that he felt he, as a black man, should be able to do the same thing because he should be more able to relate. And so, I obviously it's a super famous song. I can't help but think about Forrest Gump, just with that, it's just like,
yeah, sure. And that too, I mean, that also is a great segue for me too, because my song,
take it away,
is known world renowned for being on a movie soundtrack.
Oh. I'm now I'm intrigued. Because there's another one that now that you say it, I would have forgotten that this is Bob Dylan because the singing on it again is quite
What is
good. It's the song in Big Lebowski.
Well, guess what I'm about to talk about.
I thought that's where you were going. I don't even know the name, but every time I look it up, I would go,
It's
of course it's called, because it's
The Man in Me.
Yeah, right. That's right. That makes sense. That song,
one of my favorite Bob Dylan.
It really is a badass song. Now, again, heavily connected to something I already love. But like I said, I definitely did not know that was Bob Dylan.
Really? When you heard it for the first time? Like when you watched that movie?
I think it took me, many times. I think it was a long time before I realized that was a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah.
Now, looking back at it, I go like, obviously.
As long as I've known Bob, because I probably watched that movie before I knew who, I probably watched that movie when I was a kid for the first time, at like a friend's house. But like, so I probably saw that movie before I knew. But ever since I've known Bob Dylan, I've known that like maybe the next time I watched it after I discovered Bob Dylan for myself, I was like, oh man, that's Bob Dylan singing that song. Oh dude, that's it. That song's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so no, I can't wait to hear what you got on this one.
So The Man in Me, I will jump right in.
Please do.
The Man in Me was on a record called New Morning, which came out in October of 1970. And again, a really great record. Not every song is as great as the others, but the ones that are to me enjoyable are some of his best stuff. There's only maybe like 3 songs that I have to I really just have to fucking skip because they're lame as fuck. I don't know how else to say it. But this record has Day of the Locust, Went to See the Gypsy, New Morning, and of course, The Man in Me is just the baddest tune on the record by far. That one, and I think Day of the Locust is my second favorite. But New Morning's a great record. Recorded again in Columbia Studios in New York City, which he had already been to numerous times. Produced by the same guy as Blonde on Blonde. His name is Bob Johnston. Probably the same guy who did your record too.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Most likely.
Yes.
This song, interestingly enough, is in the key of A flat or G sharp, whatever you want to call it.
Whoa.
Which I think, as far as like the acoustic guitar player on this song, who is super badass, and I'm gonna have another thing about that later. But it probably makes most sense to play this with a capo on the first fret,
Sure.
Play in sort of like in the key of G, right? So so like to play it like you're in the key of G.
Sure.
Right. But musically this one's a little more interesting musically, but it's all made. There's nothing that suggests he was getting any more creative than playing in the key of A flat, right? 1 to 4. The 4 has the little walk down. Right?
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 5, dominant, 1. Right? And then the bridge is let's see. 2 to 1. And then 5. So nothing really crazy going on chord progression wise. So this one has like an AABA form for the most part. It's verse, bridge, verse. Only 3 minutes and 6 seconds long. So what's definitely set this record, and maybe after 1970 and after, really, I'd say he starts getting on board with shortening song times. Not always, but there tends to be more shorter tunes, especially on this record. I think the longest song on New Morning is 3 minutes and 56 seconds. So
he was a whole new man.
he was a new man. And this was right after, just a little bit of his history. This, I believe, was right after the big motorcycle accident that he had, and he went into hiatus. And then he came out, like I said, I believe this is the year he came out with 2 records. The first one flopped, and then there was this one which had pretty good success. But he was already motherfucking Bob Dylan by this time, so it didn't matter what the fuck the record. So the synopsis of this tune, he's confessing his love in a very frank but vulnerable way. It's simple emotionally, just you're a woman, I'm a man. It's about how a woman can be strong for a man and hold a man up, and sometimes a man could put up a wall, and a good woman will be able to get through that wall. It's a really great tune, man. Every verse bookends with on the wrong page. Every verse bookends with take a woman like you to get through to a man in me. Take a woman like you to get through to a man in me. Or take a woman like your kind to find a man in me. The bridge is very, very simple, like I said. But oh, what a wonderful feeling just to know that you are near. It sets my heart a reeling from my toes up to my ears. It's simple, black and white love. You're a woman, I'm a man. And a man can be cold, but a woman can warm your heart. Is really just the theme here, and the lyrics are great. Give that one a listen with headphones. Like I said again, that's to me the best way to listen.
Man, I'm
going
to one up you. I'm going to go watch Big Lebowski after this.
Go watch the Big Lebowski. It's the best part of the fucking movie, whether that song's playing, or the couple of times in that movie where that song's playing.
Yeah, it shows up over a bunch.
Yeah,
and
I think too, because I'm pretty sure again, this wasn't a hit in the 70s. Not a major hit for him. I don't think there really is not much to be found as far as the story of this specific song, like there was on my last one. I think what really catapulted this song probably is one of those tunes that had a second life in the 90s when Big Lebowski came out. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, dude, because we're not the only ones who feel that way. Everyone, all Big Lebowski fans, everybody I know who's just loves this tune. We just did it in I just got done teaching a performance program where this song was one. Not that I was the one who picked it, because I came in halfway through the season, but this song was in it. I was like, oh yes, dude, I love this tune. And it's really badass, man. It's a really great tune. Some things that I like about the music part of it too. Obviously, the chord progressions are nice and simple, but they're structured, and there's a couple of 3 counts in it or whatever, a long bar of 6 if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah.
The chord progressions are pieced together real nice. The guitar players on this track are fucking stellar. And there's 3 guitar players who are what's the word? Put on, their names are on the list.
Credited.
Yeah, they're credited. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. So it sounds to me like there's an acoustic guitar and electric guitar though. So I don't know what the combo is here. The guitar players were David Brownberg, Ron Cornelius, and Buzz Phaeton. The first 2 I have heard of. I never heard of Buzz. But whoever it is really good, really awesome fucking lead playing, especially at the end during that last big whatever outro where the choir's going. That too, like the gospel. I think it's actually just 2 women, but it reminds me of gospel singers, and it's amazing. It's like the clouds opening up kind of image for me.
Sure.
The other thing too is the fucking bass player on this track is nuts. Fucking really awesome. One of the most beautiful bass playing bass lines ever.
If you really go through each part and think about it, it's a really, really well put together song.
Yeah.
And
the studio, obviously these studio musicians are the top dudes in the world.
Am I imagining it, or there's keyboard parts in there too? No,
and all that shit is awesome too. Yeah, but I'm saying like what sticks out for me, why I like this track, like the sound of the track, is the guitars and the bass. And listen to this fucking shit. There's 2 bass players credited on the record, and I couldn't figure out who was who on what tracks, but it's either a guy named Harvey Brooks or a little known guy named Charlie Daniels. Yes, that Charlie Daniels. So Charlie Daniels apparently was best friends, or really somehow tied and connected with the producer Bob Johnston, and he ended up being credited on bass and I think guitar and obviously fiddle for like a bunch of Bob Dylan tunes in this era.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But whoever it is, I hope it's Charlie Daniels, because that would just be awesome. I mean, I don't care who it is. The bass line is like, it's beautiful the way the bass player plays his lines. Really, really awesome bass line. So that's The Man in Me. And if you haven't seen The Big Lebowski, go fucking watch it. And if you haven't heard The Man in Me, go fucking listen to it on the Spotify playlist now.
Exactly. There you go.
And that's all I got, man. That's it, man. Just a light warm up to things to come.
This was the hors d'oeuvres.
The hors d'oeuvres, yeah. The Bob Dylan warm up.
Yeah,
so many good songs. We'll get a lot of those songs. The ones you were mentioning before, the ones I mentioned off Blonde on Blonde and New Morning. We'll get some of those better ones from those records up.
Yeah, and there was one other one I guess I didn't mention, and I'll literally just mention it now.
Yeah, sure.
Was off the first album, was Fixin' to Die Blues. It might not have been his. No, you know what? It wasn't. That's what that's a cover one. But that song sticks out to it's just it's just a straight up blues. But yeah. I don't know. I guess had he written it, I'd be even more impressed. But now I guess I'm less impressed now.
Right.
He does a good version of it, but it's not his. So sorry.
True.
Sorry, Bob. But anyway, we'll I guess we can wrap it up here, and cool. We'll wrap it up with a couple of our final points. As Vin mentioned already, you can go listen to all of the songs that we talked about today and in all of the other episodes on our newly named Spotify playlist named Tuned Up and Tuned In. If that's not there, the Vin and Phil Show, or just Vin and Phil Show playlist, should still be available to you.
This is transition week, right? Transition week. So
one way or another,
one or the other this week. Next week, you'll know for sure.
One
won't be hard either way.
Exactly, and I think you'll be able to find it. We're gonna be okay. And if it's not there for one day, we'll be okay. So that's the playlist. Check that out. And then next, as I mentioned earlier, Vin and I are both working musicians, and at this current time, we could use all the love and support we certainly could get. And if you are feeling generous and have a little extra loving you could send our way, we both have Venmo accounts and would sincerely appreciate any generosity you might have. My Venmo account is at Phil-Silverberg. That's silver like the metal, BERG. And Vin's is at Vincent-Mott. MOTT. That's our Venmo accounts again. And no pressure, but if you're feeling generous, please send something our way. And last but not least, our couple of projects that we both are working on. Like I said earlier, I have a song that's currently out named Oolong under my artist name, Lo-Fi, Lophi, and I'm going to be having some new material out in the next month or so. So keep an eye out for that. And a couple other things too. I guess there was a new music video out for the Mike Montre Band that I played on the song and shot the video for. It's called Victoria. Beautiful song. And I hope everybody appreciates the video too. I would, let me know your feedback. But the song, at the very least, I can say that the song is beautiful. And there's going to be a new song, another music video coming out for an artist named Brett Altman that I also shot the video for. Did not do any of the music or production on that side, but just the video for. That'll be coming out sometime soon. Yeah, so keep him busy. Lots of stuff. What about you, Vin?
I got Country Blues in Quarantine that is out, available for everybody to listen to anywhere you listen to live music or to music online. I wish it was live music. And if you really love it and you want to support the blues and you want to support an artist, you can just go ahead and download it, and that's the best way to help us directly.
Absolutely.
With all things of both of our music projects.
This is true. And I guess that about does it. I guess in the coming weeks, look forward to us talking about some more Bob Dylan, and we'll be expanding on the subject. We've already mentioned a few of the people that will be coming up again. And we have definitely going to have some cool guests, some interesting guests, some people that from our pasts that are going to be able to help educate me.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make me a believer. And I guess until then, we'll leave it at that. So episode 10 of Tuned Up and Tuned In with Vin and Phil. Signing off. Yeah.